Welcome back. The changing of the guard at the White House doesn't necessarily mean government reform efforts have to go back to square one. The IBM Center for the Business of Government has a look at 30 years of government reform efforts. Dan Chenok's executive director of the IBM Center for the Business of Government. He's former chief of the Information Policy and Technology branch at OMB. And Dan, before we talk about the work that is at hand, we have to congratulate your colleague in putting this together. John Kamensky's retiring from the IBM Center after a long and distinguished career of working on these kinds of issues. Congratulations to him. What did you and John find as you looked over the past 30 years of government reform efforts?
Well, thanks so much, Fran, for having me on and for celebrating John's significant career over multiple decades, which will continue. He will continue to work with us in an emeritus status, and he'll continue his terrific work with partner organizations like the National Academy of Public Administration, where he remains a fellow. So we've all learned a lot from John about government reform. And that was part of the input to this report, was really thinking about, as a new administration comes in, there have been many reforms that have been tried over many decades from administrations of both parties. And oftentimes when new political leaders come in, they want to start from scratch. But the reforms have often roots in prior administrations in terms of things that have been done that continue, and also things that were done that didn't really work so well. And so the report was trying to sort of capture both types of lessons as we go forward.
All right, step one is developing the reform initiative, and you break this one down to making a compelling case for change, engaging top leaders as champions, and prioritizing among competing opportunities. Which of those are the most important, if any, in making sure that you lay the right groundwork for a reform initiative?
Yeah, it's really important to do all three. In other words, you want to have a vision that people can rally behind, that they are essentially part of, and that vision should be led by groups like the President's Management Council or the Chief Information Officers Council or the CFO Council, sort of a recognized cross-agency group that can help not only to develop, but also to later implement and institutionalize. And then there are often many, many good ideas. The National Performance Review brought in literally thousands of ideas. The President's Management Agenda in the second Bush administration on the e-government side brought in hundreds, and there was a specific process about prioritizing that the people involved, the champions, were a part of in terms of selection.
The second step is implementing the reform initiative, and you break that one down, creating a governance structure, engaging staff at different levels, and creating a community. That community seems to be the critical element there, in my view. Am I reading it right?
That's correct. The governance structure is sort of the foundational element, but unless you have staff, career leaders, political leaders, outside interest groups like the nonprofit sector, the good government community, and also Congress, that's a critical element that has been found in terms of government reforms that are often in the executive branch, come up, and then sometimes they go away. If there are champions in Congress who can help to continue focus in terms of oversight or even in terms of codification of the statute, that's a way to significantly sustain and make more likelihood of the success of implementation. 4
pieces of the third and final step, which is sustaining the initiative, creating ongoing institutional structures, new routines, a dual-track approach, embedding new requirements, and ensuring ongoing collaboration with Congress, as you just referenced. The sustaining piece is the piece, though, that I think over the initiatives I've tracked over the years, where things have the greatest tendency to go afoul.
It's really hard, especially when leaders change within an administration, and of course, when administrations change, to sustain the momentum of initiatives. But if you look at in the technology space, a lot of the initiatives that were started really at the end of the Clinton administration in terms of putting things online, like creating the first federal government portal, which is now USA.gov, which led to a lot of the good ideas that were brought into place by the Bush administration in the President's Management Agenda around the e-government Quicksilver initiative, which then led to a number of the open government initiatives in the Obama administration that spawned a number of the cross-agency goals related to technology that are continuing even today through the last several administrations. So there are ways to create a through line and they rely on this community and career leaders and the willingness of new political officers to come in and understand what's happened before and how to improve on it.
One of the things that I imagine you take a lot of heart from is we talked in the beginning of this program in the headlines about what the Biden administration at least wants technology-wise. Remains to be seen what Congress will appropriate and authorize. But the track that it seems that we're on is that this administration understands that continuity is important and wants to continue it. Is that a fair read, do you think?
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of signals from the Biden administration, especially in terms of the Technology Modernization Fund, first proposed in the Obama administration, enacted in the previous administration, and now continuing forward as part of the American Rescue Plan Act at a significantly expanded level of $1 billion. And a lot of those initiatives and those projects will be coming forward as improvements, but also new initiatives that help the Biden administration address its key priorities around COVID response and recovery, economic revitalization, racial justice, and climate change. So there's ways to continue and there's ways to introduce new.
Dan Chenok, thanks very much as always, and thanks for the chance to honor your friend John Kamensky.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francis.